So we're realizing we've got a huge amount to do to install all of these new low carbon energy technologies in order to solve for the problems we have. Let's try and think 2 steps ahead in this problem, not just to making enough energy, but what other effects will that have on the planet. So let's take, for example, solar energy, one of the obvious choices for a lot of this thing. There's about 1,400 watts per square meter of solar power that hits the outer atmosphere. We lose some in the atmosphere, we lose some because of the day and the night, we lose some with cloud and weather losses, like the clouds getting over the solar cells, we lose some from geography. So what actually happens is we get about 90 to 300 watts per square meter of land, square meter is like about this big, that hits the land across the planet. And then we have an efficiency limit on the technologies that we have there, and that spans around 10% for a reasonable solar cell to 40% the world record holding photovoltaic. Not only do we have that technology efficiency limit, we also have a land area coverage. You can't really cover every square inch of land with solar cells or every square inch with mirrors, so you have some space between them so you can walk between them and clean them up, etc., etc. What does that mean? It means for every square meter of land, we're going to end up getting around about 10 to 20 watts of power to power humanity. Let's have a look at the other technologies that we might put in that same respect. So there's wind energy, and we have these huge turbines. They're about 100 meters or 100 yards in diameter. We put them about 1 kilometer or 3/4 of a mile apart so that they don't interfere with each other. And then, of course, we get about 1 megawatt averaged out of those. What it really means is we end up getting about 1 or 2 watts per square meter of land for that wind power. Hydroelectricity is a little harder to measure on the same things, but let's say we take the surface area of Lake Mead, that's where all the water collects that we send over the Hoover Dam. We take the power output of Hoover Dam. We get about 2 or 3 watts per square meter for the Hoover Dam, or for hydroelectricity. Just sort of really coincidentally, biofuels end up giving you about the same power density. So if you covered all of Lake Mead with an algae, like so a biofuel, you'd end up getting, if it was an extremely good modern technology algae, you'd get 2 or 3 watts per square meter for all of that lake. So here's a really unusual way to look at the world. This is a square map of all of the land masses on the planet. And you can see I've arranged them from the largest country in the world, that's the big thick stripe of Russia, to the smallest country of the world way out on the right. The 6 biggest countries are Russia, China, Canada, USA, Brasilia, and Australia. These are the biggest countries by their land area. So, like we said earlier, we need to make 10 or more terawatts of carbon-free fuel. Let's take 10 terawatts, and how big is that as a country? Turns out, if that 10 terawatts, let's call this new country Renewistan, if that's 2 terawatts of wind and 5 terawatts of solar and a terawatt of hydro and a couple of terawatts of biofuels, that 10 terawatts would be, or Renewistan would be the 7th largest country in the world, almost the size of Australia. So this is something we've got to really start to acknowledge in the trade-offs. We're going to be building country-sized or even continent-sized machines in order to power humanity in this new clean world. Here's another map of how to look at that. So this is an equal area map of the planet, and I've put on this a couple of terawatts of wind, and you can see that. It's sort of 1/3 the size of Australia. 2 terawatts of photovoltaics you can see in the ocean next to Africa, solar thermal hydro. These are very large areas of land we need. You can actually understand your own power consumption in the same way. So we found out I use about 18,000 watts of power to run my life. That would mean I need a solar cell, represented by that yellow square there, about 40 meters by 40 meters on a side. That's way larger than the roof area of my house. And in fact, if you take that very large orange square, that's the land area for everyone in the United States, it looks like 10% of my portion of my land area of the United States, just to power my lifestyle. I think the important thing to realize here is, yes, we can actually solve the problem. We can make a huge amount of power for powering America and powering the world from these clean technologies, but we probably don't want to grossly increase the amount of power that we all use as individuals, because these machines are going to start to encroach on the rest of our lives.